I remember my very early childhood. I remember the violence at home. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and having to mop up the blood of where my father had beaten up my mother, and then having to go to school the next day and feeling really confused and not knowing who I could speak to.
There are 1.5 million children, at least, being maltreated in Britain. No one is reaching out to these children robustly because our political leaders have wanted to deny this fact.
I've worked with young people who have been living in very unsafe environments where they have been targeted within the community. And I'm thinking of one young person in particular who was known to social services at the time, and social services was aware of what was happening for that child and their family. However, no interventions were put into place to actually keep that child and their family safe. And what ended up happening was that this young person was consistently targeted and was assaulted on a regular basis. The impact of failing to properly care for that child has been the emergence of mental health problems. She experienced significant PTSD following the assaults, and it's been incredibly difficult for her to be able to move forward.
Child protection and child mental health in this country can't cope with the volume of cases that are coming through, and consequently, they're leaving lots of children without help.
The social services system, it's just really at breaking point. There aren't enough resources, monetary or staff-wise, to meet the needs of the children.
Social work has become kind of like listed as in, I need to see this client within this amount of time. In 4 weeks' time, I've got to do my next visit. In 6 months' time, this is the next time I'm going to have a review. There's a big gap about what happens in between that.
Every social worker wants to do the right thing, but they're not allowed to make decisions based on emotion or what they think is best for the child. It's based on how much money things cost.
What I've seen is this kind of sense of apathy that's developed, because they do have to turn so many children away, and in a sense they become desensitized to the needs of the children, and therefore they're not actually able to see when that child needs protecting, because this is something that they see all the time, and they just don't have enough resources to meet the needs of all those children.
The truth is, there are too many kids, not enough workers, and not enough money. The children deserve change, but our political leaders don't want to do what is really needed to change the system. Privately, they admit it's too much work. It's not something that they need to prioritize because children don't vote, therefore they can't hold them accountable.
People know that behind doors, children are living with this kind of violence and neglect and abuse, but the system can't admit what it needs to do to change it is to spend a lot more money and to make it much more of a priority.
You, the voters, can stand up for these kids. Please text us. Let us together gather and support these children. Let's have a task force made up of children, of professionals, of thinkers, and together think of the children's services from a child's perspective and redesign it so it becomes fit for purpose.